Mic Drop Moments is sponsored by Grow Radio. Want to launch your own podcast? Grow Radio are here to help. Grow Radio has launched and supported countless podcasts, and they'd love to do the same for you. Just hit record and they'll handle the rest. No editing stress, no technical faff, just a great podcast released when you want. Need a little extra support? Grow Radio's workshops and courses make getting started easy. Let's bring your podcast to life. Message Grow Radio on social media or reach out to Gary Jones, the founder of Grow Radio. Let's make this happen. Welcome to Mic Drop Moments, and today I'm sat with Jenny Gilson. Welcome, Jenny.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Now, I'm going to ask you to tell us a little bit about you and what you do, and then we're going to dive back into your story. And I know your story, and it's full of twists and turns and ups and downs and mic drop moments and a relocation as well, which I want to dig deeper into because you work a lot on your mindset, your self-care, and so we're going to dig down and find out a lot about you. So just tell us what you're doing now.
So I help cake makers turn passion into profit. So we'll go a bit more into it with my background stuff, but my main goal really is to help cake makers to start and grow their businesses, because there's so many people out there that have got so much skill, so much knowledge and so much passion out there, but they're hiding in their kitchens, and I want to help them get it out there and serve other people, because who doesn't like cake?
Absolutely. And I love your cake. And we're going to talk about that right now because I first met you when you had your Sweet As cake shop, and you created the most amazing cakes. And I've never seen anything like it. And it's hard to describe, but these chocolate creations that were just fit for a king, I might say.
Yes.
We'll explain a bit about that in a minute. So let's go right back. You left school. What was the ambition? What was the drive? What took you into cakes?
So to be very honest with you, I was terrible at school. So I remember sitting in reception and thinking, I'm not going to be very good at this. And I really struggled through primary school. And it was when we did our SATs to go up to secondary school that I had a test for dyslexia. And it all kind of made sense. Okay, this is why I'm struggling. I'd spent so many years feeling like I couldn't do anything, and really stupid actually, that when I went into secondary school, I went to an all-girls convent school in London. And then fate had her wonderful way and moved me from London to the Midlands for my dad's job, and to a school that was quite progressive really. So we called the teachers by their first names. We didn't wear a uniform. And as opposed to in the convent school, which was we were doing needlecraft, here we were doing catering. And it was my first catering lesson. I thought, oh, actually, school can be quite good. And I remember within a couple of lessons, I thought, I am good at something, I can do something. And I remember the very first thing I made in catering, and I'd baked with my nana for many years before this, but that was kind of a home thing. Outside of home, I didn't really feel very good at anything. I remember the first thing that I made was prawn sesame toast, and I took them home and everyone was like, wow, these are amazing. And it was the first time that I had felt proud of myself for something that I had achieved. So that really kind of lit a light bulb in me. So went on, sort of scraped through a couple of GCSEs, did quite well in catering because it was all practical stuff, and went on to a local catering college, which at the time was quite famous for producing quite high quality chefs, and had some really good connections. So I did 3 years at college and very quickly focused in on patisserie, which was, again, it just kind of lit me up. I think we know, don't we, when things are our thing.
Yeah.
And I was really lucky to get some work experience at Claridges in London. And I remember walking in and thinking, this is going to change my life. And it absolutely did. We were cooking for George Clooney and Madonna and royalty, and making the most beautiful desserts you've ever seen, and hundreds of scones. And I was really lucky while I was there that the head pastry chef was a world leader in chocolate at the time. And she really kind of nurtured me and helped me to discover my passion even further into patisserie, which was specialising in chocolate. I'd always loved chocolate, but actually working with it and knowing how to work with it, because it's not an easy material to work with. That was kind of my first sort of foray into the world of chocolate and then into cakes.
Wow. And from that child that had dyslexia to feeling that you were stupid, and then suddenly finding that spark that lit you, that led you into chocolate. Who doesn't want to work with chocolate all day? Oh my God, dream job or what? But the fact that you didn't just do any work experience at the local bakers, you decided to go to Claridges. What set that ambition within you?
I don't know. I think it was just a calling. I mean, we all know as people in business that we just have a calling, a real passion. And it was, I'm going to take every opportunity after the first part of my life, feeling like a little bit, what does the future hold for me? To then having every opportunity and the opportunities that we'll go on to talk about, I grab them with both hands and absolutely take them as far as I can with that sort of fire in my belly.
So you've gone through catering college, you've done your work experience at Claridge's. What happened next?
So I worked at Claridge's for a couple of years and yeah, amazing experience, hundreds and hundreds of desserts every single day. I went round to work at a few different bakeries, patisseries. I worked for fine dining at Goldman Sachs on Fleet Street and had some amazing experiences. But ultimately, I always knew that I wanted to have my own business. My mum had her own business growing up, so I had a really great role model in her. And so I've quite strategically got lots of experience. So in a bakery, in a hotel, in a restaurant, fine dining restaurant, and then kind of gathered all that up. And I had got married quite young. I'd met my ex-husband when I was 15, and we got married when I was 21, and we went to Australia. And while in Australia, I worked in a couple of different places, and I thought there's nothing like this in the UK at all. So when I got back, I thought, right, I want to combine my classic training with some of the stuff that I'd seen in Australia and create something really new and unique to the country and the area that I was in at the time.
It's just, yeah, honestly, your cakes were just, and Google them because they were just amazing. So you went through the Prince's Trust, is that right?
Yeah, so I went after returning from Australia. We were there for 6 months, had the time of my life. And I always say to young people, go traveling because it's the most amazing life affirming experience. But after we returned back from Australia, I worked in a bakery in the Cotswolds for a few months. I had my first son at 23. Purposely, I wanted to be a young mum and I wanted to grow with my kids growing at the same time. And I had my son at 23, and it was like nothing I expected. It was a complete moment of what do I do here? What is my life? And I sunk into a bit of postnatal depression. He's now 21 and he's the most wonderful man, but I was completely lost. I would be in a room full of people at a playgroup and just feel the most miserable loss. What am I doing? So I know I work a lot on my mindset. I knew that this was for me to be able to come out of and to fix. So I approached the Prince's Trust because I knew that I'd had all this experience and skills, but I didn't really have the knowledge, the business knowledge on how to set up. So I approached the trust for a loan, but really it was for the mentor that I wanted. I wanted them to teach me how to what's the basics of setting up a business? How do I manage my finances? How do I do marketing and PR and all of that kind of stuff that I had no idea about? So I got a really great mentor. And within a few sessions, they said to me, why don't you just phone Buckingham Palace and see Prince, as he was then, Charles, is really supportive of the charity, and I'm sure that you'd be able to do some work with them. So I thought, again, opportunity, why not? So I remember putting my son down for a nap, dialing Buckingham Palace and going, oh, hello, I just want to explain a bit of my story. And I said, I'd love to send a Christmas cake to say thank you very much for your support because it's been life-changing for me. And they said, oh, well, we get so many Christmas gifts, but we'd really love you to make Charles and Camilla's first wedding anniversary cake, which is coming up in April. So I put the phone down and I did a little dance, a little jump around like, have I just been asked to make a cake for Prince as he was Charles and Camilla's wedding anniversary? Just the most bizarre moment.
And you did, and you did it. Yeah.
Yeah,
And
so then I spent a few weeks thinking, what am I going to create? How am I going to put all of my thanks and really impress them because they are royals, they see so much. So I created the cake and was asked to deliver it to Clarence House. They were on an Easter break at Balmoral with the family. So the cake was flown from Clarence House to Balmoral that evening. And then I had a beautiful letter back from my friend Charles, just to say how much him and the family had enjoyed the cake and how beautiful it was and how lovely it tasted. So yeah, I mean, amazing, amazing opportunity.
And you did quite a bit. I mean, I think I saw something with you on TV. Was it Alan Titchmarsh on TV?
Yeah, so they phoned me out of the blue and just said, we're doing a show about the Prince's Trust. We'd love you to come on. I said, yeah, great. I mean, this was in 3 or 4 days. Yeah, fine. Yeah, I can do that. And then they phoned me the next day and said, the Philip Schofield's going to be on the show to celebrate his 30 years in telly. Will you make him a cake live on air? I was like, yeah, I'll figure it out. Say yes and figure it out later.
Love it.
So yeah, an amazing experience. And by this point, I'd already opened my first shop as well. So the name, the traction of the passion, the amount of people that I'd gone to speak to, I went to every WI, summer fair, Christmas fair, every group going, I went to get them to try my cake. So I'd really kind of established a brand by this point, and all of this kind of stuff just helps, doesn't it?
Well, it is. And I mean, that's visibility personified. You created the opportunities, you grabbed the opportunities, you used the opportunities to benefit and to make yourself visible so that when that shop opened, you went in with a bang, really, that people knew who you were and it put you on the map. Because I remember first meeting you and thinking, oh God, I'll never be able to afford a cake from there. And then thinking, well, actually, I want a cake from there because it's so unique, it's so different. And then obviously getting to know you a little bit more and getting to learn how you do value you've done the mindset work, you value your self-care and everything else. So you're not somebody that's helping cake makers just saying, well, here, I've made a few cakes. You're someone that's been professionally trained, has worked in the highest level places, and has made a cake for the King of England.
Yes, yeah. I mean, what a life, what an experience. And all, I think I got to, so that the journey kind of goes on. So I opened my first shop, did a bit of TV work, did a bit of kind of press and PR, that kind of stuff, really trying to get people to recognize the brand, but also show young women as well that we can create businesses, whatever your passion is, you can go on and create a successful business, no matter what's going on for you in your life. You absolutely can make these dreams come true. So then opened the second shop, and one of the key things about the shops was that the bakery was on site. So people would walk past and they'd have that kind of trail of that wonderful bakery smell that you just can't replicate. Even when Tesco's kind of pump it out, you still can't replicate that freshly baked cakes and chocolate wafting down the street. So the second shop didn't have that kitchen, which was probably one of the issues with it. And it was also about 5 miles away from the first shop, which was a real hero in the local town. So about 2 years, 3 years in, decided to close that shop to really concentrate back on the main shop. Unfortunately, went through a divorce at that point, and I just thought it's time. I'd been in business for about 14 years at that point, and I thought it's time for something new. It's time to create a new life. My kids were growing up really quickly. You know how it is, they just grow up almost behind your back, and you're like, oh, you're grown.
Yeah.
And I wanted to grab the opportunity I'd always dreamt of living by the coast. And I wanted to grab that opportunity while the kids were young enough. I didn't want to wait until I was retired and then move away from my family. I wanted to take us all on an adventure. So I was really lucky that I managed to sell the business rather than close it, and then moved 100 miles away, literally from anybody that I knew. I knew no one in the area, but I just had a dream and a knowing that it was right for me and my family.
And you're near the beach. And do you find that helps you when you're having a tough day or when you just need that little bit of self-care or need to just clear your head? The fact that you can just go and walk on the beach, is that the dream personified for you?
Totally, yeah. I mean, I can finish work and be in the sea, because I love sea swimming now. I never thought I'd say that, in about 20 minutes. And yeah, it's amazing. But not even, you don't have to be near a beach to have that feeling. Just getting out and being in nature and stopping. I used to go out with a podcast on, but now I purposefully don't put anything on. I listen to my steps, I listen to the birds, I listen to the wind in the trees, and really try to be present, because we can be, especially the way that my brain works, we can be a million miles an hour all of the time. And we can really quickly lead to burnout if we don't go, I'm going to purposely pause, purposely stop, and not necessarily in our body movements, because it's important that we move, but from the mind point of view, and just allow things to kind of settle.
Yeah, which is why I don't take my phone on my dog walks,
Yeah.
because I just want to. I learned this in the pandemic, actually, when I was walking with the dog in the pandemic. Didn't need to take my phone because there was nothing going on. But the stillness and the quiet, I started to appreciate the seasons. I started to appreciate what was around me, which I just ignored because I was always racing to walk the dog to get back to go off to something. And the fact that I couldn't, and that walk was precious at that time. It was precious time we were allowed out of the house. But it taught me actually to value that space around me. So I stopped taking my phone out on my dog walks.
That's brilliant. That's lovely, because you can be really present then. You're not thinking, oh, is my phone going to ring? Who's messaging? What do I need to do? It's just time for you, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
And him.
So you've moved down to the coast, and you've still got this burning passion within you for cakes. Do you still make cakes?
I make them for family.
Yeah. But you want to help people that are embarking, and there are a lot of bakers. A lot of bakers were born out of the pandemic. A lot of people fulfilling their passions for cooking, maybe trying things. I mean, you only have to watch Bake Off to see that some of these bakers only started baking during the pandemic, and they're creating these amazing things. So what is it you want to instill in people that have got these side hustles in a way that they want to turn into a business? What is it you can do to help them?
Yeah. So to go back really quickly, baking is one of the most mindful things that you can do. With cooking, if you're cooking the meal, you can kind of chuck a bit in, chuck a bit here, chuck a bit there, but you really got to be present when you're baking. So it's great for mindfulness. And I can absolutely see why a load of people got into baking in the pandemic. But when I sold the business, I knew that I still wanted to work in and around the industry, because it's all that I'd really ever known. I started working in a kitchen when I was 13. But what I missed when I first started my business was that business knowledge. So how do I make sure I've got all the legals in place? How do I make sure I'm making money? How do I get out there? And all of that stuff that I really missed, I thought I can help people with this. So I retrained as a coach, and I now work with bakers at whatever stage they are in the journey. So if they're pre-startup and they really want that kind of hand holding for a little while, I've got a guide that they can buy. It's 27 quid or something, to help them with everything step to step, step by step. And then up to people that are already established, who have maybe been in the trade for many years, but they just want somebody outside of the bubble, because you know what it's like when you're in your own bubble, sometimes you just can't see it, and you want somebody outside of that to go, have you thought about this, or what about that, and what's your feeling about this? And also reminding them to take a step out of the business, and really, because we have to work on our business as well as in our business, don't we?
As well as working on ourselves, because I have coaches, I have mentors, because you don't, you're right, you don't see it. You're so deeply engrossed in your own business that you need that helicopter view. You need somebody to come and say, well, have you thought of, or this is great, why aren't you doing this, or more of it, or just the knowledge of somebody that's probably walked the walk before you. And you need that input. And I have different coaches for different things. If I want to go to the gym and I want to get fit, I have a coach that's specifically on fitness or health or whatever. But if I want to grow my business, then I go and find somebody that's walked the walk and talked the talk, that's done it, and I can learn from their experience. And I think that's really important for people who are in the cake and baking industry, to be able to have somebody that's not only walked the walk, but taught the talk right the way through from such a young age, and been professionally trained as well. That's a huge advantage, that you've actually done it. You've had the retail premises, you know what the costs are involved, and also just those. It's the profit aspect. I think a lot of people start businesses and don't factor in their time, they don't factor in their experience, and they don't factor in those other things. They just, maybe in cakes, they get the ingredients, they look at how much it's cost them, and then they come up with a price for their thing and don't actually make a profit, which I think is key. If you're in business, you've got to make a profit. So
Yeah, absolutely. And there's so many neighborhood bakers as well, people that really desperately want to have a business, but in starting, they'll kind of put their prices really low. But that's on a hiding to nothing. You've got to get that right from the beginning. If you're offering massively reduced cakes, then it's quite impossible to grow a business. So it's getting these things right from the beginning.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, it's been fascinating talking to you, Jenny. You've got a membership coming up as well. Do you want to tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so one of the things that I realized when I entered the coaching industry and specifically around cake coaching is that there's a massive gap in the market. So there's some fantastic coaches that teach about business, there's some fantastic artists who teach people the skills, but there's nobody, and there's some great communities as well, but there's nobody that does all of those three things together. So what I want to do is, what the membership is doing is it's the skills. So bringing these world-class teachers in, and I've just been looking at the program, there's so many exciting things coming up, and then there's the knowledge part of it. So how do I grow on TikTok? How do I look at my ideal customer? How do I advertise? SEO, websites, all of the kind of stuff that you might have to go to 10 different places to find. It's all going to be in one place. And the important part about the community is that I've seen so many cake communities that have got thousands and thousands of people in them, and beginners right through to established people. And a lot of the beginners are asking for tips, and they're going, oh, here's a cake that I've made. And some of the comments are just like, oh, you shouldn't be charging for this, or some really not very kind comments. So one of the points about the membership is that it's really supportive. It's a really safe space. There's going to be a no nastiness policy at all. It's going to be heavily moderated. People are going to be safe. And it's going to be full of people. It is full of people that want you to win as much as they do. Ultimate cheerleaders, which is, for me, as somebody that was bullied at school and really struggled at school, is really important to create that safe space for bakers.
I think cheerleaders lifting people up, and that I'm proud to say in my membership and in my community, I've never had to remove anybody, which in 6 years is not bad going.
Yeah.
And that's when I first started my Facebook group. But yeah, my membership as well. And I saw that recently, a recent event. Everybody's cheering everybody else on, and isn't that a lovely place to be?
Amazing. Yeah, I want people to win more than I want to win, because the more that other people win, the more that they inspire us, and the more that we create. And especially as people in small business, it's tough in the UK at the moment, isn't it, for small businesses? So we have to keep cheering people on. And there are times this, Sandra, there's times that you think this is really tiring, and I'm close to feeling like, is this all worth it? But absolutely, we need those voices to keep pushing us on and to keep celebrating us, which is perfect for this is what you do.
Yeah, creating spaces for people to shine. That's
Yeah,
what I say.
love it, love it.
Well, it's been great chatting to you, Jenny. Before you go, I always ask my guests, and you've given us lots of mic drop moments during our chat, but I'd like you to leave us with a piece of wisdom, a top tip, or something, your mic drop moment. What would that be?
There was a few that I thought about, but I think one of the key one, really, we've already mentioned it, is working on your business as well as in your business. That's what helped me to be so successful and to grow a six-figure cake business and make over £2 million of cakes, is that I quite quickly removed myself from a lot of the day-to-day stuff and worked on my business, networking, getting out there and making sure that the business kept growing.
Fantastic advice there to leave us on. Thank you. Today I've been chatting with Jenny Gilson. Thank you, Jenny.
Thank you.